All right, welcome back to the channel. So we got big news for Jermell Charlo and Tszyu, and the fight that has been ordered by the WBO to take place between the two. Looks like Jermell Charlo has got a SHIT or get off the pot order from the WBO. Let's talk about that in this video, but before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon if you so you can get notified when we release more videos. And thank you to everybody that is a big time supporter to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. But let's get into this. American superstar Jermell Charlo has been ordered to fight Tszyu before October by the WBO officials. A decision no limit promoter George Rose has described as massive. The article that is reporting this goes on to say 5 months after breaking his hand while preparing to fight Tszyu in a January unification blockbuster, Charlo is yet to confirm when he will be ready to defend all 4 super welterweight titles. And while the pair was initially slated to fight at the start of the year in Las Vegas, the hyped title blockbuster has now been delayed twice by the reigning champ. So Tszyu is amped up because he now gets to fight for this fight before October. And I'm happy for him because I am most definitely looking forward to seeing the fight between Jermell and Tszyu. If you didn't recall, Tszyu had just had a fight that took place a few months ago where he beat Tony Harrison in Australia. He also has another fight that he'll be taking place in pretty soon, and I do believe that's also in Australia against Carlos Ocampo. And I think that fight is going to be on June 18th. So Tszyu has been staying busy. But at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, man, Tszyu is just rushing for a whooping because I don't care whether or not Jermell Charlo's been inactive or not been inactive because of his broken hand. Jermell Charlo is the guy that has really been in there with the best competition. He's the guy that is the odds-on favorite to win that fight. And I don't foresee Jermell Charlo having much problems with Tszyu whatsoever. Tszyu is not fighting anybody in Tony Harrison or in Carlos Ocampo that is really going to prepare him for a fight with Jermell. Jermell is somebody that can box on the outside when he needs to. He's also somebody that is a very big puncher. And I think the combination of those two things are going to be very big problems for Tszyu, who is similar to his father, Tszyu, in that he is a come-forward fighter. He is somebody that, in my opinion, looks like he's willing to exchange 2 to get 1 off. That's what he looked like in the fight with Tony Harrison. It's also like what he looked like in his fight with Goshaw before that. Carlos Ocampo is, I do believe, having his first fight at 154 pounds. And he was the former IBF mandatory challenger for Errol Spence Jr., who Errol Spence Jr. had dispatched in 1 round a few years ago. So none of these guys really are out there looking anything like they can really prepare him for Jermell. And again, I'm telling you, anybody that is going to fight Jermell Charlo in a where you are going to allow him to hit you and you keep coming forward and you land 1 and he lands 2, you're not getting up out of there because number one, Jermell Charlo definitely has a solid chin, but Jermell Charlo is one of the biggest punchers in that division, and I suspect is a bigger puncher than Tszyu himself. However, obviously when people compare who the bigger puncher is, you also have to take into consideration who exactly has the better chin between the two. Can't say that I've really seen Tszyu hurt, and can't say that I've seen Jermell Charlo hurt. I think maybe one time I saw him look like he may have gotten wobbled a little bit in the Brian Castano fight, but the Brian Castano fights, in my opinion, really do prepare Jermell Charlo for the style of Tszyu, because Tszyu just looks like a bigger version of Brian Castano with however, who's a little bit more defensively irresponsible than Brian Castano. But either way, man, I'm looking forward to the fight. It would be an absolute shame though if Jermell Charlo was stripped of the belt. Because matter of fact, I do believe the WBO belt is the belt that Jermell Charlo just won in the last fight that he had against Brian Castano, and that maybe Tszyu was the mandatory for Brian Castano before that rematch had taken place. But whatever the case is, man, I'm looking forward to the fight. I hope that if they're saying that the fight would happen by June, then you got August, September, and October. That is a very, very quick turnaround for Tim Tszyu, if he's going to fight on June 18th, because then you got July, August, and then September. So that's basically like 12 weeks. He would have to turn around immediately after the Carlos Ocampo fight and get right back in the ring, get right back in training to get with Jermell. And that I think can go either way as far as, how it would affect him. He's either having gone through, 2 consecutive training camps, going to be worn out from having overtrained and consistently been in training, or, he can be extra sharp. But then there also is the potential that he could lose to Carlos Ocampo or get injured in the fight with Carlos Ocampo. And in that case, he may lose his mandatory position and somebody else may have to fill in from the WBO. But whatever the case is, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Can't wait to see Jermell Charlo back in the ring. Also looking to see Errol Spence Jr. back in the ring. Jermall Charlo back in the ring, Deontay Wilder back in the ring. So a lot of guys. Danny Garcia is supposed to be fighting Erislandy Lara. So that can be back, get in the ring for that one as well. A bunch of really, really good fights that could be coming up. This is not the least of them. So anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.